Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. It's time for a juicy Q&A today. I have a fair amount of questions that you lovely people have asked me on Instagram and on TikTok, and we're going to be going through them. I've tried to condense them because a lot of them were very similar. Thank you to everyone that left me a question, and thank you to everyone that also just left me like a lovely compliment. Like, some of you didn't even ask questions, you just said that you're really enjoying my content, and that's just very heartwarming. Like, I'm still not very used to that kind of like compliment yet, but thank you so much, it means the world to me. Let me just find the questions. I have them somewhere on my iPad. I'm thinking I'm going to start off with the ones that are more like about me and what I do, so that if you don't know me that well, you've got all the easy questions first, like my age and what I do for work and that kind of thing. Sound good? The first question was, how old are you and what do you do for work/work history? I do often get asked what I do for work because of my what I wear to work videos. So I'm 27 years old. This feels a bit like speed dating. I've never been speed dating, but this is what I imagine it would feel like. So I'm an office manager and I work in admin in like the charity and public sector. I do work in an office, but my office is very casual. That is one of my most asked questions, because I know some corporate offices have very strict dress code. So in terms of work history, I've worked in my current job literally just a year, like this week. I started working when I was 17. So I was in retail for 9 years, clothing retail. I worked in a bunch of different clothing stores. So I worked in Topshop, I worked in Victoria's Secret, that was where I was before I moved into admin. I worked for Kurt Geiger. I've been all around the houses. I was management in retail for a few years, like that's where I was going. And then I eventually just stepped back down to a sales assistant because just like a whole bunch of things in my life changed. I just decided it like wasn't worth it. It's been a year and I'm still not used to having weekends off, not working Christmas and just doing a 9 to 5. I'm gassed about it. So still sticking on the work theme, what does my day job involve? Loosely, like without like giving it away or where I work. I mean, if you've ever worked in admin or you've been like an office manager before, it's probably easier to list the things that I don't do. I would say mainly like building management, making sure like it's tidy, that everyone's organised and people are where they need to be. I do quite a lot of recruitment and like report writing and data protection stuff, like all of the compliance stuff around that. Minute taking, writing agendas for things, health and safety, organising training for people, like and training days and kind of like the staff seminars. To be honest, having a really varied task load like works really well for me. I don't think I could like sit down at a desk and do like the same task all day. Like, I like to be running around. Next question is, where am I from? So I live in East Sussex. I grew up in a town that's like quite close to Brighton, like really small town. So I was always in Brighton when I was younger, and I've lived in Brighton for like the last 6 years. On the subject of living in Brighton, someone has asked, do you and your boyfriend live together? Yes, we do. We have done for quite a long time. I'm really lucky, it works really well. I really love living with him. We've lived together like most of our relationship, and we moved in fairly quickly, but it worked out. How old were you when you moved out? I was 19, the tender age of 19. I kind of wish I'd stayed at home a bit longer, but I was just really desperate for like my own freedom. Not that I didn't have freedom living at home, but you know, and you just want to go. I moved in with my friend Harley and I haven't lived at home since. So how do you be fully yourself in a relationship? Brackets, yours seems so sweet. Thank you. This is not a question to be answered quickly. I really had to think about it because I think it's something I take for granted quite a lot as well. Obviously, I can only really speak to like my personal experience. It really helped that I was friends with Doug for quite a long time before we started dating. And personally for me and what I need in a relationship with someone, I've realised that like one of my biggest keys to like a successful relationship is being friends with someone before. I've realised that like just meeting someone and only knowing them in like a romantic sense, just it doesn't work for me. It's really important for me to see how someone treats me platonically and how they treat other people as well, like ahead of getting into a romantic relationship with them. And I think a lot of the work is for you to do yourself, like on yourself, because for the most part, obviously it's always a work in progress, I am completely comfortable being my authentic self. It's really hard to explain because it is something I take for granted, and we have been together such a long time that it's just like slipped into something that's become really natural. But I am just here to have a good time with my partner. It is a two-way street. I know what I need from a relationship, and I know what I need him to do for me, and I'll tell him that, and vice versa. It's like a communication thing, isn't it? It's like trust and transparency. No one's a mind reader. Also, it sounds really cliche, but like your partner should be your best friend. So I hope that being yourself would come naturally at some point. That timing will look different for everyone, but yeah. Which destinations are on your travel bucket list? Fucking everywhere, to be quite honest. Straight off the bat, Antarctica. I'd really love to go on one of those Antarctic cruises. Looked up the price of them the other day thinking they'd be like a couple of grand, but they're like easily 10 to 20k. So I'm just gonna have to rethink my plan about that. Hawaii, 100%. That being said, don't know if I'll ever go there. I know a lot of the locals and the indigenous people of Hawaii are quite anti-tourism, so I don't really want to, you know, add to that problem. Japan is definitely a bucket list location. I'd love to just spend so much time there. Cherry blossoms, go to an onsen, eat lots of amazing food. I really, really love seafood. It's like actually my favourite food. I don't eat meat, but I eat fish. So good quality, high quality seafood, some of the fish markets. Zanzibar, because it's got beautiful beaches, like absolutely cracking beaches. One of my absolute travel dreams is to go to Montana and like Wyoming and ride on horseback across the mountains, just like anywhere that's that kind of vibe, like amazing breathtaking scenery. Like, have you seen some of the mountain scenery in Montana? My leather chair is squeaking a lot. Like, I have no way to describe to you that my soul actually like yearns for Montana and like the mountains and like the long grass and the scenery. I just know visiting that place would change my life. Anywhere in the PNW, just like that rainy grey, again like amazing landscape scenery, amazing forests. Again, I yearn so much for the Pacific Northwest. The thing is, I don't even like wet, cold weather. I'm a sunshine girl through and through, but something about the forests in that part of the world and just like the scenery, and it's so wild and so big. Oh, again, it calls to me. Had a little couple of spiritual astrology questions. What are your star signs, your sun, moon and rising, and do you resonate with them? So I'm a Capricorn sun, a Cancer moon and a Scorpio rising. I am also an Aquarius Venus and a Capricorn Mars. I have a Capricorn stellium. I think I've got 7 planets in Capricorn, which is a lot. As far as do I feel like they resonate with me, I really think they do, you know. I mean, at some periods of my life that some of them resonate more than others. My chart does feel accurate to me. I feel very Capricorn through and through, albeit an incredibly watery Capricorn, because I just feel like I feel things so deeply, sometimes at a detriment. In my more recent season of life, and like definitely 100% as I get older, I feel like my Cancer moon is becoming like more and more prominent. I connect more with that. Like, I didn't really connect with it all that much when I first started researching it. The pull of Cancer and the moon in general, and like that side of me is very, very strong. As for Scorpio rising, I feel like the less traditional traits of Scorpio resonate with me, although that being said, a lot of people do think I'm a Scorpio. Fun but spooky anecdote, I was talking to a customer in one of my old jobs and she was a bit strange. She's just a bit kind of maybe a bit too intuitive and a bit off kilter, and she wasn't there to like buy anything from me, you know, and customers just talk to you for ages. We were talking about gardening or something, like just something completely unrelated, and we were talking for like 45 minutes, and right at the end she just goes, "Are you a Scorpio?" And I was like, I was so spooked, and I was like, "No." She was like, "You must have Scorpio in your chart." And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, maybe. But this was before I really knew much about star signs. So I didn't know what my rising sign was. And I just really remembered it that day. And then eventually, like however many years later, I went home and looked it up and was really spooked by that. That being said, I think one of the kind of deepest traits of Scorpio is like transformation and change. And like change is just in a Scorpio's DNA. Like intuition, change, that weird kind of like psychic resonance runs through Scorpios, like bigger, something bigger than them, something deeper. The angle of like change and transformation and like constant change and transformation and like death and rebirth and the shedding and the releasing and the regrowing, that's something that just I think is just ingrained in me. Like unfortunately I've learned to embrace it now, but that angle really runs deeply with me. I always used to want more Scorpio. I always thought Scorpio was like a really cool sign. I think it's just because Cancer's really stubborn and like boring. I think we get a bad rap, but actually I don't know how you Scorpios deal with more than one planet in Scorpio, because this shit's intense. This one's a two-parter. So someone's asked me what my full moon rituals are and the best books on crystal or spiritual info. Let's start with the rituals. So I used to be really, really good with all this kind of stuff. Like, honestly, I prefer a new moon to a full moon, but I'm a bit lazy now. I used to do a full tarot reading, just like, not like I say full, but it was 3 cards. I used to journal. I used to put all my crystals out on the windowsill to charge. Now I'm a little less like physically proactive. Like I use less tools, because that's all that stuff really is just like tools. So now I usually just make a point of having a bath with some nice bath salts I've made. I'm really into like herbalism and medicinal properties of herbs and all of that kind of stuff. I'll pop a few little crystals on my bath tray. Sometimes if I don't have the time to like soak and sit in the bath, or I don't want to make up bath salts, I'll have a really like cleansing shower. So I personally think spirituality is all about the intention and the intention you set and being mindful. So even if you're just having a shower and thinking, I don't know, like cleansing thoughts or doing something with intention and like a good intention behind it, I think that in itself is inherently a little bit spiritual. So in the shower I might put some essential oils in the bottom of the bath tray, ones that just like really clear my head and make me feel calm, and I'll just think about like washing the day off me, and that in itself is a form of intention and visualization. I will usually do like a wee bit of research on like the significance of whatever full moon's coming up. So yeah, just look into that, feel and think about how it applies to me. I journal every day anyway at the moment, so that usually goes in there, but I'll just be like quite mindful, I think, of the time period and just like trying to be a bit more in the moment. Don't you think it's really intense that like the moon is the moon that everyone's always looked at all their lives? Like, I know not to get like deep, but like Cleopatra looked at that moon, and like the philosophers looked at that moon, and like poets also did, and people just been writing about the moon, and like your mother looked at that moon and your mother's mother looked at that moon. Best books for crystals and spiritual info. Let me just get them 1 second. Okay, so I have read a lot of books on spirituality, astrology, witchcraft, spell books, like less tangible forms of practice, so things that involve less tools, so just like general spirituality, self-help books. Honestly, I don't think you need a whole bunch of them. I have a few favourites that I've read, which I'm going to share with you now. It's 3 to be precise. So in terms of crystals, because that's what you asked, most people have the Crystal Bible, like volume 1 or volume 2. I have volume 2 because I got a copy gifted to me. It is helpful to some extent. I personally don't use it that much. Maybe that's because I've like got a well-established knowledge, I like to think. If you don't want to spend a lot of money on books about crystals, I would recommend just like looking up what you need to look up online and cross-reference it, because some things are going to be really vague, but I can guarantee you're going to find like 10-15 other crystals that they're going to say, yeah, this is good in lessons of love, this is good for relationships. They're going to say the same thing in a different way, so just cross-reference it. It's okay to just like a pretty rock if you don't believe in any of that kind of stuff. Anyway, onto the books. These are my two favourite astrology books. This is The Stars Within You, A Modern Guide to Astrology by Juliana McCarthy, and this is The Signs by Carolyn Faulkner. You can see I've done a lot of note taking. It's really great when you've looked at your birth chart and then you want to know a bit more about the planets. Obviously you can do that online, but like I just like having a book. I like this one because it kind of does the same thing, but it goes into a little bit more depth. So it will talk about a sign gone right and gone wrong. It's really good. It's a bit more complex, so like depending where you're at. I mean, I would say get both, but do this one first and then this one's really good. Or you can just, if you're feeling confident, skip this one and go straight to this one. Also The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. Who are you really? I'm just going to read you the blurb because this was kind of life-changing, but I think I need to read it again. So what would it be like to be free from limitations and soar beyond your boundaries? What you can do each day to find this kind of inner peace and freedom. The Untethered Soul offers a simple, profoundly intuitive answer to these questions. It's a bit of a self-help book, but if you're going to do any self-help book, I personally would recommend this. So Untethered Soul brings us on to the next question, which is a little bit of a deep one, but I'm okay with that. Someone has asked, what advice would you give younger you knowing what you've been through now? I really like this question and I really had to think about it. Mild trigger warning, just for some context. I feel like quite a lot of people know, but there is quite a few new friends on the channel, on the page. So yeah, trigger warning. I'm going to talk very, very briefly about death. So if you don't want to hear that, you're not in a place to have that conversation, skip forward. So for context, my mum passed away when I was 12. Just under 2 years ago, my brother took his own life, and then a couple of months after that, my grandma died, and then literally like a month after that, my childhood dog died. So yeah, I was taking sucker punches from all angles. I lost 2 people and a pet in 3 months. I'm laughing because laughing is the best medicine, and I wouldn't talk about it if I wasn't comfortable talking about it, so don't feel weird about that. Obviously there's just been a lot of stuff that's happened like between all those events. That's not like my whole life, obviously. That's not like what defines me. So when I think about giving advice to younger me, knowing what I've been through now, this is gonna sound really, really dark, but hear me out please. It's gonna get worse to like levels that you just can't make up, like you can't write this shit. But big but, it's also gonna get like so much better, like infinitely better, like things you couldn't have possibly even envisioned for yourself, things that you thought were not meant for you, things you hadn't even considered in the realm of things that were meant for you. The big takeaway is that it's gonna be really, really bad, it's gonna be really, really good, it's gonna be really, really bad again, it's gonna be really, really good again. Just like rinse and repeat for your whole life, because that just is the human experience. That's like a really horrible thing to say, but that's okay. I think like the sooner you come to terms with that, the better it's gonna be. Like you don't just start being happy, like you're happy and then you're sad again, and then you're happy again, and then you're sad again. I hope that was a sufficient enough answer, and I hope that you understand that that wasn't intended to be incredibly depressing. Like it's just life, isn't it? We have to discuss clothes next because I cannot put it off. So many of you asked me where I shop, what are my favourite shops, where do I regularly shop. Okay, this is forked into like 2 categories. This is where I shop the most and where I wish I could shop the most. No one asked that, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Believe it or not, I don't actually shop that much anymore. I have 9 years of retail experience, so I've been accumulating clothes a really long time, hence why most of them are really old. I'm making an effort to reduce my shopping and to really think about my shopping. I probably shop the most in person in H&M and charity shops. I do browse in Zara quite a lot, but I don't really buy in there anymore. I just don't think the quality's that good, and I used to end up buying like a lot of very like micro trendy stuff that you know, like you'd wear once and then leave it, so that's like out now. Zara's out for me. I do look online on ASOS a lot. I like it because it's quite like one-stop shoppy. I feel like you can get everything in there. Charity shops are some of my favourites as well. You do have to be in a really good mood to charity shop, and when I'm in a charity shop, the brands I look for, mainly Topshop, ASOS. I'm open to brands in charity shops. I don't really care. I try not to buy charity shop stuff from Primark because it's usually quite bad quality. I will buy charity shop stuff from Zara if it's like a really trendy cheap item that I've wanted for a long time, something that I know I'll wear. Zara is just one of those things I just really begrudge paying Zara prices for such bad quality. Cos COS are really great. I look for COS a lot in charity shops, and I go in COS quite a lot for their sales. Uniqlo. I shop at Uniqlo quite a lot online. We don't have a store in Brighton, which is a shame because I really like going in. Places I would like to shop more. Arket sales are good. Still quite spenny, but really good quality basics. If you're in a position in life where you can start like transitioning away from spending a lot on a lot of items and you're more happy to start like investing in basics, Arket sale is really good, or Arket full price if you got that money. I would like to be able to comfortably afford COS, Arket and Beyond 9 and Lucy and Yak. I know they're quite plain brands or like basic brands apart from Lucy and Yak, but that's kind of like good staple basics. I am planning a capsule wardrobe vid as well because I know quite a lot of people are keen for it. It's really hard to come up. I'm coming up with 10 items and 10 outfits. It's really difficult, but that is coming. Again, a lot of people were asking me about style inspo and outfit inspo, like where I get that kind of inspiration from. I'm going to preface this by saying I think it's taken me a really long time to come into my own style. I've made many like fashion faux pas, and I think moving out of working in retail has really helped because I was very easily influenced by constantly being surrounded by like micro trends and other people looking amazing in things, and like, you know, when you sell something so much or someone buys something so much, you're like, oh, that's quite nice actually, but you really never would have looked at it twice, and then you're spending money on it. Because of that like constant trend cycle, I think I've probably been through like twice the amount of clothes you might have been through if you were just like working in an office job. So like, I've tried a lot. I know what suits me now. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope it does. I get quite a lot of inspo from like people in the street actually. There's a lot of really fashionable people like around, and girls wearing really cute outfits, and even if it's not like the full outfit, it might just be like one item. Do I think it's a staple? My favourite question is to be like, will I wear this 60 to 100 times? So I've got quite a few people that I follow on TikTok and Instagram that really like inspire me for outfits, so I'll run through them and I'll put their little @ on the screen, and I'll make sure I link them in the description box as well, because these are people that I just follow and I see their content really regularly. And it goes in my brain. I like it. I think, wow, that's cool. I like that. Adele Petty on TikTok, really like minimal style, but so classic. Monet McMichael, my girl Monet, love her outfits. I can't afford loads of them, love them. Mary Skinner, love of my life, love her outfits. She's got this really like earthy, natural beauty, nature. Everything looks effortless. I am trying to move towards that vibe. Tolly T, she is just so unbelievably, every single outfit of hers slaps. Evan Smith, I get a lot of unisex styling inspo and like classic fits from him that still like have a little bit of alternativeness to them, a little bit of edge, but they're very classic and timeless. Like, love his use of colour. Hey Brittany, she's just so cool. Her style is probably exactly how I would dress if I had more wardrobe space. So I just really love her looks. They're just so colourful, so beautiful. Baux, it's Baux, glam, queen, absolutely love it. You just no one does the glam anymore. No one does the glam anymore. I don't, but I'm living vicariously through her posts. She just always looks so fucking good. Dahana, fantastic use of shapes. Just really, you know, just like not everything needs to be tight. It's taken me a long time to realize I just do not need to be given body. Like, I've got no body to give, but I do not need to be giving body. I want this like really classic, loose, timeless silhouette. Really inspired me to play with like less form-fitting outfits and be comfortable with that. I'm very aware the sun is going down and it's getting darker, so I'm gonna try like whiz through these. I'm sorry, I don't want it to get like pitch black while we're filming. On that note, someone has asked me where my green tote bag is from. It's from Shein. I got it like 2 years ago. Please don't buy it if you can help it. Don't contribute towards that. There'll be other green tote bags. If you do, I'm not judging you. I just feel bad like saying it's from Shein and thinking that like someone might buy it because I wore it. So it is my work tote bag, so I'm not going to throw it away. Avoid Shein if you can. Would I ever do a tattoo tour video? Yes, I have done one. I am going to link it in the description box. It's very old, it's not updated, it's missing about 4 tattoos off there, but until I can film a new one, I will give you this one. I'm so sorry. It's really hard to film all over your body and like not feel a kind of way about it. Any tattoo or piercing regrets? Do you know what? Luckily, not really. I definitely have some tattoos that I'm not fussed about anymore. And I wouldn't say I regret getting colour tattoos because I really love the tattoo, but kind of wished it was black and grey just because I won't get any more colour tattoos, I don't think, anymore. I will say though, the more I'm getting like more visible places done, like chest, neck, hands, ear, etc., I feel a bit like afterwards I'm definitely getting a bit more overthinky about it, which to be fair is only a good thing. But I have had like a few moments afterwards where I'm like, do I like it? Do I like it? Spoiler alert, I always do like it. As for piercings, not really. I've had like all manner of piercings. Like I've had like surface piercings that I've taken out, like my belly button piercing fell out. Like I've had lots of my ears done and then took them all out, and I'll probably get a couple, like I want my second lobes done. I had my nipple pierced for like over a decade and I don't regret doing it, but it's kind of annoying because I took it out because I was just over it. They're just fucking annoying, aren't they? But now like it's like desensitized one of my nipples, so like it takes ages to get hard. So like if I'm wearing no bra and I'm out, I have to get Doug to like check if it's like breezy, because it will just be like one and not the other, and I have to like sort it out a bit. I probably shouldn't have shared that. Fave book, fave film, fave YouTuber, fave artist. Really good question. Favourite book, I'm not gonna lie, favourite book is really hard. Number one, because my memory's so bad and I've just read so many books. You're not the only person to ask me this. I'm gonna give 2 because they're the only 2 that come to my head that are like 5-star reads, but I'm sure ask me this in like 2 months and my question will be different. So it's a book called Come, and it's by Rita Therese, and it's a memoir. It's just so poignant. It's like one of my favourite books. And then The Secret History by Donna Tartt is also really good. That was the first book I read this year and I really loved it. I have 2 favourite films. One of them is Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann one with Leonardo DiCaprio, and the second one is Silent Hill. That's like one of my comfort films. It's a scary film, but I love it. I'm giving you 2 for all of these, I'm so sorry, but my favourite YouTubers are Mary Skinner and Lynette Adkins. And my favourite artist, if we're talking like music, would probably be Beyonce or SZA. Probably Beyonce overall. What are your go-to things to search for on Vinted if you use it? Love your style and your vibes of you. Thank you so much. I do use Vinted. I promise I will list some items on Vinted soon because everyone is feral for that. So I don't really tend to browse Vinted. I use it more for specific items. A really good example is I'm really obsessed with this Urban Outfitters dress. It's called the Mila dress. So I'm relentlessly searching Vinted for Urban Outfitters Mila dress, white linen maxi dress. Just I'll like literally search everything that's similar. The same, I'm looking for some cowboy or western boots. I just keep searching up. I did it with denim mini skirts, midi skirts even, and I did it with those new look dresses I like. I find it really hard to browse on there. Maybe it's because I don't use it enough. But I'd rather go for like specific items. Sometimes I'll search for like boho stuff on there, but the most success I've had with Vinted has been searching for like specific items. I'm also looking for like denim midi dress at the moment, so that's what I'll search, and I'll like filter by my size, etc. Fave hair products of all time, easy peasy. I've tried a lot of hair products. So first things first, the Garnier Banana Hair Food Mask. Bumble and Bumble UV, I think it's a heat protectant. It might be called Prime and Protect. Incredible. L'Oreal Wonder Water makes your hair so incredibly glossy. It's what I use literally every single time I wash my hair. Colour Wow Money Mask. I got sent this initially as PR. Best deep conditioning mask I've ever used. Really annoyed it cost so much money, but it lasted me a really long time. So hair syrup, everyone knows about these hair syrup oils. They are unbelievable. If you're going to do one thing to improve your hair health tomorrow, is start oiling your hair. You don't need hair syrup oils to do that. You could just use an almond oil from Superdrug. It's like £2. K18 detox shampoo. Obviously I don't wash my hair that often. I've said it 1,000 times, so when I do, I need it squeaky clean. That sun is going down. What shampoo and conditioner do you use? So currently I'm using both K18 shampoos, so the pH perfecting one and the detox one. Then I'm using the Garnier Hair Foods like version of Wonder Water. It's like a lamellar conditioner. It's just like a serum thing you just put in your hair, then you rinse it out. Then I'm using the K18 leave-in molecular mask, and then because I love a little bit of double hydration, I use the Garnier Banana Hair Foods as well. Next one is favourite affordable hair care and skincare. That Garnier Hair Food mask, like £4, it's always on offer. I'm always going to recommend that. Ordinary skincare, specifically the Squalane cleanser. Love the simple sheet masks. There's like a hydrating one, that's like my favorite sheet mask ever. It's a couple of pounds. Nivea Soft is my favorite facial moisturizer. L'Oreal Wonder Water for your hair, that's like £3-4, always on offer, never buy it full price. Slightly more expensive, I think it's £9, but it's Super Facialist Salicylic Acid Gel Cleanser. I used to use that and I don't anymore, but it's a product I love. I used it like back to back for about 2 years. Back into books because I missed one out. So who is your favourite author and what's your favourite book genre? Great question, ever changing, really tough to answer. I'm going to answer with my heart. I'm going to say for genre, I'm going to go fantasy romance. For favourite author, I'm going to stick within that genre and I'm going to say Sarah J Maas. I'm putting her as my favourite in that genre because I would say overarchingly, ACOTAR is what got me back into reading, and nothing has really made me feel like that for a long time. Like I haven't had that like hooked book feeling in a series for years. So for that, she's my favourite. Someone asked me a very, very lovely one. Thank you so much. And it's, how do you keep such a calming aura? Honestly, I feel anything but calm, but it is a comment that I get quite a lot on my videos, that I have, I guess, like a calm voice or a calming personality. So I'm glad that that's how you all perceive me. To answer it seriously, that is like the kindest thing anyone's ever said to me. This is not a very good answer, I suppose, but genuinely, I'm just a pretty unstressed person. I'm really lucky that my threshold for being stressed is quite low. Like I just personally refuse to ever be stressed out by anything or like feel a kind of way I just don't enjoy, like even for a moment. That's like a decision I've made. Joking aside, I am really, really lucky. I have never suffered with like long-term anxiety or like nerves or like an anxiety problem. So everything I say like sounds so cliche. You know, there's like that phrase that you can't control like what other people say, do, or how they react to things, but you can control how you, like what you say, do, or react to things. Unfortunately, that saying is true. I just decided that I really didn't feel like being so easily affected by other people's energies and like words and what people think. Like that's like not my business. I don't want other people's stress to like roll over and affect me. So like I call it my stress ceiling. It's like pretty high. Obviously that's very easily said. Like I didn't just, don't let me mislead you, I didn't just like wake up and decide that one day and then that was it, it was done. I do still get caught up in people's energies. I do still get caught up in like other people's high emotions and stress. I'm not invincible. I just want to live a life of enjoyment. Having that perspective just ultimately like really chilled me out. But I do think that some people are maybe more predisposed to being calm than others. I don't know. So, you know, like some people have a calm energy, some people don't, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm gonna finish off on my favourite question before we completely lose the lighting, and I hope that this filming footage is okay because I'm worried that the exposure's messed up and I've just lost like an hour's worth of filming. How do you see your life in 10 years time? I've been thinking about the answer to this for weeks. It's so juicy. I'll be 37. I found this tough to answer because I try not to lay like really rigid expectations or milestones on myself. But generally, the first thing that came to mind is just like happy. Not just happy, but like supremely happy and like content with what I've got and my lot in life. If I'm gonna look at like tangible material things, maybe like living in a house in the country, so, or somewhere quiet, somewhere that I own. I kind of hate noise. I'd like to be self-employed, and like my definition of successfully self-employed, whatever that definition looks to me like at the time. Hopefully I'm only doing things that bring me joy and make me happy, I want to be much smarter, much more intelligent, abundant in like so many things, but maybe like more financially abundant, at least enough so that I have been able to buy a house and I'm like comfortable and just don't have to second guess like food shops and stuff, you know? Living comfortably in my finances is a good one, I think, that I can like go on a couple of holidays. That would be nice. Maybe I'll be a qualified yoga teacher. I'd really like that. Whether I teach or not is a different thing. Surrounded by children. Maybe one of my own if I'm that way blessed, but if not, surrounded by my friends' children. Married, in love, laughing a lot. Career-wise, I don't really mind what it is that I'm doing. I'd rather just like not ever work ever again, to be honest, but I know that that's not how things work. But whatever I do, I just hope it like resonates with people and that I'm happy doing it and that I feel like I have purpose in life. I have this vision that I serve dinner to the people I love, a dinner that I've made with things that I've grown in my garden, with vegetables I've nurtured and loved, and now I feed them to the people I love, you know? That's a bit like wishy-washy, but I'm just trying to live like a slow life. All my duvet sets are white company linen. None of my jewellery turns my hand green. That's what I dream of. That's where I see my life in 10 years. In 10 years, I will have a nice car. I don't even drive at the moment, so I will have a nice car and I will drive it in 10 years. That's a good starting point. I don't know what car that would be, but one that I like. Maybe like a Jeep. I'd quite like a Jeep Wrangler in like a funky colour, like a green or a yellow. I know it's quite typical, but yeah. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something about me. Let me know if you want a part 2. Let me know if you need me to expand. I hope this wasn't too dull and that the lighting, it looks a bit blurry. I hope the lighting's all right. I'll link everything that I discussed in the bio. Thank you so much for hanging out and I will speak to you next time.